I decided to do a piece on the Ukraine conflict from a different perspective that most people are probably looking at it. I think I can speak to the topic at one level because I served a significant amount of time in the Canadian Forces at strategic NATO headquarters. I have a master's in conflict and culture, and I think culture plays a large role in understanding why conflicts happen. And I've lost a lot of people in conflict who are my friends, and so it became very important for me to understand why we do what we do. When should we commit troops to a conflict? And the unfortunate reality is it's about money and power, not as much about principle. So although our hearts and minds may be 100% with Ukraine, it's difficult for me to see a scenario where they come out of this because they don't play an important enough role in the US and Europe and NATO's overall plan. Ukraine is the farmland or a breadbasket that sends a lot of food to the Middle East and Africa. If they were sending all that food to Europe, they might be more important. Russia wants Ukraine because they want that breadbasket to help support their empire and their strategic goals. So when you look at it, are we going to do anything substantial to help Ukraine other than say we support them? And is Russia ever going to stop their campaign to secure that necessary breadbasket? Russia doesn't care about hearts and minds. It's a dictatorship. They care about power, and that's the only thing that matters to them. Now, God bless the Ukrainian people for showing the fight and spirit that has delayed the Russian onslaught. They're very much the underdog, and Russia got used to just taking over the Crimea, taking over land without opposition. So NATO kind of told Russia it would be okay to invade Ukraine because they didn't do anything when they invaded Crimea. And they didn't do anything when Chinese troops went into Hong Kong. So I can understand why Putin is doing this. It's just a power play. It's horrible. It's happened throughout centuries. But what are the Ukrainians expecting from the West? It's clear we're never going to send troops there. It's clear that NATO can't afford to get into a shooting battle with Russia because it can escalate into a nuclear war. And this is where the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman comes in. Think of the metrics behind money and war. In the Gulf War, there was tons of press, especially on CNN, on the Patriot missile system and how it protected Israel from Iraqi Scuds. And you saw all of these news shots of it. What most people miss is that there were billions in dollars of contracts for the Patriot missile system after that war. All of the big arms dealers are sponsoring a lot of these media sessions. There's a lot of talk about the HIMARS system right now defeating Russian troops. You want to ask yourself, where are those stories coming from? And why are they there? Because businesses who are heavily into arms sales, they'll give away their arms in order to get footage of them working so that they'll get billions of dollars of orders after the fact. The US government engages in a practice, like any power would, called the Lend-Lease program. So the Ukraine right now is getting these weapon systems, but they're indebted to the US. So after the conflict, they're gonna have to pay back all of the weapon systems they're sending over there. So the US is sending US-built weapon systems into Ukraine where they can be tested in battle. You can get the clips that make them sell. And then Ukraine has to pay the US back. The arms dealers support congressmen and senators. Think of news in that context rather than just an emotional context. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why haven't we done what we've done? Right now, it looks like the US arms industry is more than happy to pump the Ukraine full of weapon systems to test under battle and then sell after the fact. But are we doing anything substantial to really help those people who are fighting for their lives and fighting for their country? And unfortunately, I'm not sure we're going to. I think Putin is going to keep going down this path until he gets a significant chunk